So yeah.
Law of attraction never gets it wrong.
So God will send you smarter people if you stop thinking in dumb ways.
So, you know what you don't want, you know what you do want. But knowing what you do want is brief because you just figured it out just now because you knew what you didn't want. And knowing what you don't want is a stronger vibration. So, you don't start thinking about what you do want right away. It's sort of illogical to you. It's not your pattern of thought. So, you think more about what you don't want, which causes you to launch another rocket of what you do want, and another, until there's quite a gap between where you are and what you're asking for, where you are and what the source within you really is. Well, after a while, if your desire is really, really, really strong, in a moment when you're not paying attention and arguing for your limitations, sometimes that desire can triumph. And you can catch a glimpse of who you really are. And that's the benefit. We like to talk about your inner being who is always there with the light on. So let's say you have a lot of friends and they're all over the place in terms of the way they feel. And you are too. So you're sort of zigging and zagging, and sometimes you hang out in a good feeling place together, but not usually. You're just sort of zigging and zagging. And then you figure this out. You start waking up deliberately and finding good feeling thoughts and practice them until other things like them are joining them. And now you're consistently there. Well, your friends have been up and down and all around, but now you're consistently there. Now they're going to rendezvous with you, and you're going to have a teaching moment, you see. That's what your inner being has been doing all along. It always stays there, and sometimes you have that moment where you get it, you see, because words don't teach. It's only life experience that teaches.
It seems like we get almost inundated with bad news. You know, like what we watch on the...
You're on the bad news disc, you do?
Yeah. Well, I find, in the last few years, especially, the closer and closer I get to what I think of as divine love, just living from a place of oneness, that I'm not nearly as interested in hearing the news or in hearing other people's sad stories, or there's just a horrible thing just happened in the Philippines where 10,000 people they estimate, but it's come down and so on. But to continuously watch, the horrors of the world and the violence and so on.
Well, without realizing that watching it causes you to practice the vibration of it. And so now you've practiced the vibration of it, so you're going to rendezvous with more of it. And it doesn't mean that you're going to have that horrible experience, but it does mean that more experiences like that are going to come into your consciousness, and they're going to mute your sense of well-being. And then physical friends say, well, it seems like I should not just put my head in the sand. I shouldn't be oblivious to what's going on in the world. And we say we would be a selective sifter. We would do our best to see our world through the eyes of Source, because Source is looking at the expansion. Source is looking at what is wanted. When you define that you want something, Source looks there. And when you look in opposition to what you have defined for Source, you separate yourself from Source. The vibrational frequency of a question and an answer are very different frequencies. And the vibrational frequency of a problem and a solution are very different frequencies. So when you realize Source is on the solution frequency, and when you're not, you feel bad, because you're not going to feel the inspiration. You're going to maybe feel more contrast and maybe launch more rockets.
So basically what she's saying here is, like, if your source is up here and you normally like to hang around, maybe let's say somewhere here, is basically what she's putting at, if you're not on the same distance as your source. And the further down you get from your source, the worse you start to feel. You won't feel good. You'll feel awful. The more and more you try to, you get closer to the high flying disc, basically what she's referring to, which your source is on, the higher self is on, the better you feel. So the further you down, that means that you're getting away. You're separating yourself from that source within you. So that is the way of knowing where you are vibrationally when it comes to you and your source. This is what she's saying.